So I've been a fan of Gavin Newsome for some time now. I really like the way he speaks. I like the way he carries himself. And I like the way that he always gives it back to MAGA Republicans. He stands his ground. He's not timid about it. He comes right back at them. When I watched the debate with Ron DeSantis, I loved it because he didn't let DeSantis off the hook. He came at him with the truth. He came at him with facts and evidence, and he didn't back down. And those of us on the left for the longest time have been starving for that kind of politician. And when we look to the future of our party, we think about, okay, who's going to step up and lead? Who's going to be the next voice for our side? Who do we want speaking for us? And when I see Gavin Newsome standing up and giving it back to him, I say to myself, that's the kind of guy that we need to be handing the microphone to more often. That's the kind of guy that we need leading us in the future. He's the one that we're going to have to pass the torch to one day if we want to survive as a party. And just when I thought I couldn't like him anymore, I stumbled across this clip where he was on Real Time with Bill Maher. And I've talked about Bill Maher a lot because he's somebody who I used to like to watch. And over the last couple of years, I've not found him watchable because he spends so much time talking about woke, so much time talking about how bad the left is, when all of these things are going on in the country with MAGA Republicans, all the things that they're trying to push through, he's not paying close enough attention to that. And when I look at mainstream voices, I see them half the time siding with MAGA or kind of smoothing it over like it's not as bad as it really is. I see content creators on here standing up and speaking the truth. I see the Midas Touch Network calling things for what it is. That's why I'm proud to be a part and work with that network, because they don't sugarcoat something. They don't water it down. When Donald Trump does something that's batshit insane, they will say, it's batshit insane, not it's an interesting new strategy. And those of us on the left have been starved for a long time for people who will stand back and give it back to them. So as Bill Maher begins to interview Gavin Newsome, he says to him, well, you know, I kind of like you. You're mean sometimes, but you don't need to be too over the top. And I'm thinking, no, be over the top. The other side is loud, they're obnoxious, and cruelty is their main policy. They love Donald Trump because he's cruel to other people and he empowers them to be cruel. So you can't stand there and be timid. You got to be over the top, and you got to give it back to them. And right out of the gate, Bill Maher tries to steer the conversation into a woke culture war kind of conversation by saying, well, you know, out in California, they're wanting to have gender-neutral toy departments in department stores. And Gavin Newsome says, yeah, but, you know, that wasn't our main priority. Those department stores came to us. They were on board with those ideas. That was things they pitched to us. And we looked at it and we took it into consideration. He said, I understand how it gets weaponized and I understand how people misinterprets it and misunderstands it. He said, but that wasn't what we woke up as our main top priority. We didn't wake up thinking about that day. What we were thinking about was homelessness. We was thinking about housing. We was thinking about crime. We was thinking about the quality of life. And as Gavin Newsome is saying this, the crowd begins applauding. Because people like us have been wanting to hear someone say that for a long time. I support trans people in every way. I want them to have the same quality of life and the equal rights that we all have. That's what I want. But what I try to tell people in my part of the world, the people who are living here in this little small town with me in East Tennessee, and they fear transgender people because they've never took time to sit and talk to one. They've never sat and took time to learn it. All they've heard is the culture wars coming at them. That's all they've heard. And they live in constant fear of something that's never going to affect them. I'm sorry, but there's not going to be a trans parade here in this little small town I'm sitting in East Tennessee. It's not going to happen. It's never going to come to their door. But you know what is going to come to their door? Poverty. It's already here. Drug abuse and drug addiction. They're already here. People struggling, living hand to mouth to make ends meet. That's already here. People living in homes that if I just run up and give it a good hard shoulder tackle, it would fall to the ground, but they got a Trump flag flying off of it, and they're sitting there watching culture wars afraid of a trans person that's going to bust through their door and take away their rights, and that's not going to happen. So I loved hearing Gavin Newsome say, look, we're looking at that, we want to fix that, but that's not the top priority. These are the things that we need to be really focused on, not a toy department store in, California. And then they go forward, and Bill Maher says, well, for a long time, you've been wanting to kind of make it red states versus blue states, and I don't want that. I don't want to live in a civil war country. And I'm thinking, but they do. They've said they want to secede from the Union. They've said that if you're a Democrat and you move to a red state, you shouldn't be allowed to vote for so many years. They have turned completely against democracy. So it's not about, we can sit here all day long and say, well, I don't really want to live in a civil war kind of country. True, I don't either, Bill. I don't either. But they do. And they're trying to push through things that will take us back to that. And this is my favorite part, is when Gavin Newsome responds to that. He says, look, he says the other side is trying to roll us back to a pre-1960s America. And he said this quote. He said, you can sit by and say, I really want to get along as these guys are rolling back the clock, or you can stand tall and assert yourself. And if I was a religious person, I would have screamed, hallelujah. That's exactly what we need to do, because these people are trying to take us back. They have declared war on women and their rights. They have declared war on gay and trans people. They've tried to ban books. They've tried to rewrite history. They've tried to tell people of color that they benefited from slavery by learning carpentry skills. It's gotten absolutely batshit crazy. You've got a guy saying, yeah, let me be dictator for a day and I promise I'll give it back. They're saying they want to secede from the Union. They're saying that we shouldn't be allowed to vote. So we can't sit there. I'd love to get along with them. I would too. If I could say to Bill Maher anything, it'd be, listen, dude, I would love to get along with them. But we're not sitting here debating health care anymore. You know, we're really not. We're not sitting here going, how are we going to pay for health care? If we were having that debate, I would go, okay, how do you think we should pay for health care? And I would listen to the right and I would hear them out. And I would listen to the left and hear them out. If we was talking about issues like that, I would say that. But when you're talking about democracy, when you're talking about an authoritarian dictatorship, you can't say, well, I just want to get along with them. No, you can't get along with that. You cannot sit back and lay back on the ropes. I always make boxing analogies. This ain't the time for the rope-a-dope. They will beat you to death. Ali tried that on Foreman, and it worked because Foreman got tired and got knocked out in the 8th round. When he tried it against Joe Frazier in the Thrilla Manila, his trainer, Dundee, was like, hey, don't try that with Joe Frazier. He'll stand here all night long and beat you. He's not going to back down. He's not going to get tired. He's not going to get knocked out. He's got a hell of a chin. That's how they are. They're going to keep coming. They're going to keep swinging. They're going to be over the top. They're going to be loud and obnoxious. And in the meantime, they're dragging us right back to a pre-1960s world. Would I love to get along with them? Yeah, I'd love to get along with everybody. I would love it in a perfect world, but we're not there. And that's why sitting there watching Gavin Newsome say that back to Bill Maher, and then Bill Maher just stop in silence, I'm going, yeah, that's what we need. That's what we've been wanting. We've been wanting to see somebody say what we're talking about and point out the real issues and quit talking about these bullshit culture wars that's never going to come to your door. I mean, look at, he said, they want to talk cancel culture? Well, look what they did to Bud Light, Starbucks, Target, anything they disagree with. And I know hardworking people, these people will sit here and they will look at their phone. Well, did you see what they done at the Target? You see what they done? They put some gay clothes in the Target. You don't shop at Target. But you're sitting there broke. You're sitting there with nothing. You're never going to go to a Target. And if you do drive by one, if you don't want to go in, just keep driving. But Mama needs an operation. Your sister needs to get the reproductive care that she needs. And she can't now. Because you was too busy caught up in bullshit culture war singing along with Kid Rock. We need someone like Gavin Newsome to remind the Bill Mahers of the world which side he should be on. And I appreciate him for doing that. I really do. And I hope that more people on the left will start gravitating toward that kind of attitude instead of this, well, we just got to get along with them, man. I mean, you just got to try to get along. No, you don't try to get along with people who are trying to end American democracy. You just don't do that. That's something my granddad that was in World War II told me a long time ago, and I took that shit to heart, okay?